Hey everyone, my name is Wedge and welcome back to Commander Week. Today's video will focus on the Grixis Commander deck Mindseize, featuring Jeleva, Nephalia, Scourge. Jeleva, like Derevi, showcases a new ability exclusive to Commander, an effect that is determined by the amount of mana used to cast the Commander. The ability doesn't circumvent the drawback to casting your Commander like Derevi Imperial Tactician. Instead, it incentivizes it. Jeleva creates a new line of play in Commander that wants you to cast it as many times as possible to maximize its effect, a stark contrast to many decks that focus on keeping its commanders in play. When Jeleva hits play, each player exiles cards from the top of their library equal to the amount of mana used to cast it. This ability runs similar to Una, Queen of the Fae, with its own strengths and weaknesses. Jeleva will only exile 4 cards from each library the first time, which gives it a chance to whiff in a 100-card deck depending on the decks you face. After casting Jeleva the second or third time, the exile ability evolves into a pseudo-win condition like Una. Hitting 10 or more cards from each player can put a player close to milling out. Just be forewarned, this means the same for you too. The ability scales up as the game goes on, and provided you have the mana, casting Jeleva will guarantee a relevant late-game option. Jeleva's second ability allows you to cast an instant or sorcery exiled by it for free when it attacks. While Commander is a creature-heavy format, almost every deck runs impact instants and sorceries such as tutors, draw spells, and big spells like Tooth and Nail or Time Stretch. Depending on how your deck is built, you may just be casting your own spells unless something significantly better is exiled from an opponent's library. Her stats are terrible, but killing it in combat only enables it to be recast for more instants and sorceries. Ultimately, an opponent will have to decide if he wants Jeleva in play or in the command zone, as it is dangerous in either. Jeleva's Enter the Battlefield trigger is both beneficial and detrimental in multiple ways. Exiling the cards instead of milling them gives Jeleva little synergy with any sort of mill strategy. Cards such as Consuming Aberration or Memory Plunder and Spelltwine would have amazing synergy with Jeleva if the cards were put in the graveyard. Any sort of Reanimator sub-theme is also out the window as well. On the bright side, Jeleva does hate out opposing graveyard synergies. It's not going to be a substitute for Leyline of the Void in any situation, but occasionally you're going to exile someone's combo piece or make things difficult for someone playing Carador Ghost Chieftain. Mindseize takes advantage of Jeleva by playing the biggest, most powerful spells it can for free. Decree of Pain, Army of the Damned, and Cruel Ultimatum are just 3 of the spells in the deck that you want to cast for free. The deck runs 24 instants and sorceries, giving you plenty of options in your deck alone, though you won't want to cast X spells with Jeleva, and there are a few of them. Depending on the deck you face, you may not even have to cast any of your spells with Jeleva, giving you more flexibility in a game. There are a couple sub-themes in Mindseize, the first one being the ability to copy spells. Mirari, Uyo Silent Prophet, Nivix Guildmage, Echo Mage, and Wild Ricochet allow players to get more utility out of spells like Grixis Charm and Opportunity. It does require a bit of setup to get these cards going, but the deck plays control, giving you the time you need to set up Mirari or Uyo to start doubling spells. Arcane Melee alleviates this a bit by lowering the cost of instants and sorcery spells for everyone. Gutter Snipe gives you extra damage on each instant or sorcery you play. Barring that you can protect it, the 2 extra damage to each opponent can start to pile up. Charmbreaker Devils and Mnemonic Wall let you regain your instants and sorceries to recast them, and the Charmbreaker is also a threat. There's a ton of removal in the deck. Molten Disaster, Starstorm, and Incendiary Command all act as sweepers. Annihilate, Croesus Charm, and Fifth Assist all pick off single threats. The second sub-theme to Mindseize is simply drawing cards. It doesn't generally support Jeleva, but the deck focuses on everybody drawing as many cards as possible and suffering for it, through efforts like Visseling, Price of Knowledge, Spiteful Visions, or Nekusar the Mindraiser. This sub-theme is supplemented with multiple draw spells that force all players to draw cards. While it is definitely possible to win this way, you have to be careful when giving your opponent a bunch of cards, as you're only increasing their chances to draw something that'll disrupt you. Fortunately, the deck has a sizable amount of answers in case your opponent's drawn to something powerful. You also have to ensure you don't kill yourself in the process. Finally, Jeleva may be the most expensive commander deck printed yet due to a notable Portal 3 Kingdom sorcery. Strategic planning can be had for the low price of $60, and it's interesting to see where this card will settle. Even if it only loses 33% of its value, it will still be worth more than the price of the actual deck. Likely Jeleva and Nekusar will be worth a couple bucks each, as I don't expect them to be as popular as they are interesting to play. True Name Nemesis has a good chance of being the set's Scavenging Ooze. A 3/1 with protection from a single player is strong enough for Legacy, especially considering it's a merfolk. It's not as powerful as True Name Nemesis has a good chance of being the set's Scavenging Ooze. A 3/1 with protection from a single player is strong enough for Legacy, especially considering it's a merfolk. It's not as powerful as Geist of Saintraft, but is much more durable in a hexproof deck, avoiding damage sweepers such as Pyroclasm. If it does not see Legacy play, Edric, Spymaster of Trust, will play this without hesitation. In terms of reprints, Baleful Strix makes its return in Commander. Previously exclusive in Planechase 2012, it is shot up to $20 due to heavy inclusion in Legacy and a little Commander play as well. Expect it to drop with the influx of supply, but eventually go back up long term if it continues to have a strong Legacy presence. Thraximunder acts as a third commander in the deck and sits at $9 currently. It doesn't really fit in the deck's overall strategy. I could see a lot of people building around it, as it is a strong standalone card and offers a completely different line of deck construction. Decree of Pain currently sits at $5 and will likely drop down $1 or $2, but the card is low enough that it won't tank completely. The deck also has the customary Soul Ring and Command Tower, which will likely be in every Commander product they print and will keep the value of these cards in check every 2 years. Jeleva doesn't really have much synergy on its own, but the playstyle of Mindseize can certainly be improved upon. Mind Over Matter immediately can go into this deck as an infinite combo with Temple Bell to draw everyone out. You may need to play a shuffle effect in order to guarantee the win though, as it won't work if an opponent has more cards in their library than you do. Mind Over Matter is also a strong card on its own, but is generally considered a kill on sight, likely meaning you won't play it unless you're about to win. Underworld Dreams is perfect for the draw card sub-theme along with Teferi's Puzzle Box. This combo has seen plenty of play in casual circles before, and it fits along with the other cards trying to punish players for having cards in hand. Vicious Shadows is another card that punishes people equal to the cards in their hand, and a handful of triggers is enough to kill one person. Unlike the other cards, which require opponents to draw many cards in order to do significant damage, Vicious Shadows can kill one or more players after clearing the board. With all the removal in the deck, it will be very easy to trigger Vicious Shadows for massive damage. Howling Mine and Kami of the Crescent Moon offer more ways to get cards in players' hands, and can supplement or replace Prosperity or Skyscribing. In this strategy, you want to load up on as much draw as possible in order to reliably ensure cards are in the opponent's hands. If you're looking to get more value out of Jeleva, there are a variety of impact spells in Grixis that can single-handedly win games. Blatant Thievery, Obliterate, and Promise of Power are all massive spells that are worth consideration. Is Mindseize the Commander deck for you? I'm curious to hear what you guys think about it. As always, subscribe below for the latest and most reliable Magic the Gathering information you could ever need. This is the Mana Source, I'm Wedge, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.